y'all, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you saw part 1 of hookup culture is toxic and ruining your life. Here's why. If not, if you're just clicking on this video and you didn't know that this was part 2, I'll go ahead and link part 1 somewhere. It'll be linked down in the description because I don't fucking know where it'll be, but it'll be linked somewhere. Definitely in the description if you want to find part 1. Here, my reasons number 1 through 3 as to why hookup culture is toxic and ruining your life. I just wanted to separate the videos so that they're just 2 more like digestible videos on their own instead of 1 long rambly video. Anyways, now I'm rambling. Yeah, here's part 2 as to why hookup culture is toxic and ruining your life. I hope you enjoy. Point number 4. This one's gonna hurt. This one's gonna hurt, but I need y'all to hear me out. Don't be so sensitive. Hear me out. Hear where I'm coming from, okay? This one's gonna hurt. The people who choose to consistently participate in hookup culture are generally not people who are worthy of long-term partnership or marriage. Hear me out. Hear me out. Have y'all ever seen the movie Up? I'm talking about the Pixar movie Up, and I feel like at this point it's a bona fide national treasure here on the internet. I've seen a lot of memes and videos about it, so I know a lot of people have seen this movie. But anyways, in case you haven't seen the movie, Up is a Pixar animated film about a character named Carl Fredricksen. This movie follows Carl as he tries to fulfill a lifelong dream that he and his late wife Ellie shared together but never got to complete before she passed away. So this movie is honestly iconic for so many reasons, and one of the main ones being the opening scene. Like, leave it to none other than Pixar to get fucking audiences of people bawling their eyes out within the first 5 minutes of a film. Like, Carl and Ellie very much had an old school type of love. They had that old school love where, you know, they knew each other as children, they got to know each other and fall in love over the years, got married young, and were best friends until the very end. In times prior to the sexual liberation movements of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and like, you know, the promotion of hookup culture now and everything, I would argue that what Pixar animated with Carl and Ellie is the type of love that people aspired to have. Generations past used to place a much greater emphasis on marriage and monogamy, that a love like Carl and Ellie's was the epitome of success for most people. People used to value family more, and people used to prioritize dating as a method of finding a love that would turn into a marriage, which would hopefully turn into a family, something lifelong, a commitment. That's why people used to date. You know, dating was that method of finding, you know, your Carl, of finding your Ellie, of finding your lifelong partner. At least there was a ton of societal pressure to do so. And you know what? You know what? I think that no matter what people will try and say, I think that no matter what y'all will try and tell me in the comments, I think all human beings at the end of the day want to find a love like Carl and Ellie's. They want to find their partner, someone to turn to, someone to build a family with. Like, this has been seen, this trend of like wanting to settle down with someone and find that partner, find that companionship, has been seen across so many different religions, ethnicities, races, regions of the world. Like, there's a reason for that. I cannot genuinely name a single person who did not care at all about ever finding a love like Carl and Ellie's, or who did not care at all about finding a partner. I've just never met that person. Maybe they exist. Maybe people out there like that do exist, but I haven't met them. Like, I know people who were single for a very, very, very long time, people who did actively participate in hookup culture and want to promote it, people who entertained situationships and friends with benefits and didn't want to be tied down. They kept telling me all these things, but deep down, I think every one of those people that was doing all those things, they were never entirely opposed to finding one true love. They were never opposed to finding someone that was their best friend. They were never opposed to finding Carl and Ellie. And I bring all this up to say, I bring up Carl and Ellie as like a perfect, just an example to really paint a picture in your head because Pixar killed it. I bring all this up to say that Ellie, you are not going to find your Carl fucking around with men you just met. Why? Because a notable, committed family man like a Carl Fredricksen isn't out there fucking tons of women to find his Ellie, and vice versa. Ellie didn't find her Prince Charming who loved and respected her by easily giving up her body to men who were not serious about her. That's not how Carl and Ellie found each other in the movie. That's not how the Carl and the Ellies of the world find each other now. I don't say this to be mean, I say this to tell y'all the truth. The truth of the matter is, if you're looking for true companionship, if you're looking for someone to be there to take care of you on your worst days, someone who will love you and cherish you through the ups and downs of life, you're not going to find that person bed hopping. You're not going to find that type of partner. Generally speaking, you're not going to find that person participating in hookup culture. Why? Because a good man isn't out there fucking women like sex is nothing. A good woman isn't out there participating in multiple situationships with men who will never be serious about her. And I don't bring this up and I don't say good woman, good man. I don't bring that up to say that like, oh, if you participate in hookup culture, you're trash, you're bad, you suck. The point that I'm getting at here is that a lot of times you hear kind of the same complaints from people who are actively participating in this hookup culture lifestyle. From both men and women, you hear like them grunting about, like women will say, all men are shit, men ain't shit, men suck, men are dogs, they treat women like trash. And then from the men, you'll hear all these bitches are hoes, two-timing, can't trust these bitches for nothing. These bitches are dogs, being getting run through. And it's like, the amount of times that I've heard that, heard complaints from both men and women about the opposite sex being trash, it's like no fuck boys. All women ain't hoes. All women are not trash. No fuck girls. All men ain't shit. They're not all shit. There are good men out there. You fuck boy and fuck girls who are participating in this hookup culture, you are just coming across a lot of the same kinds of flighty, not serious about anything partners because you are choosing to engage in hookup culture. The people in this world who are willing to be committed partners, faithful partners, monogamous partners, the people who are willing to marry you, to commit to you, to build a life with you, those kinds of people, generally speaking, are not participating in hookup culture. The Carl Fredricksens, the Ellie Fredricksens of the world, they are not participating in hookup culture as a means to finding each other. Why? Because they know from the start that they are looking for a commitment. They know from the start that they are looking for a future. This goes for both men and women. These kinds of people who are serious about being good, committed partners are not wasting their time hooking up. They are dating the old school way. They're dating to marry. They're dating to be in a relationship. They're dating to build a family. They're dating the old school way. They're not hooking up. They're just not. And so you hear these complaints from a lot of people, even online too, that all men are shit, all these bitches suck. And it's like, no, all the bitches and all the men and all the shitty men that you keep coming across them because you keep participating in the same kind of lifestyle as those kinds of people. The quote unquote good people who are willing to be committed from the jump, who are looking for something serious, who take partnership seriously, they are not participating in hookup culture because they know it's a waste of time. And those kinds of people who are willing to be committed and faithful and loving partners, they are looking for committed, faithful, loving partners. And you're not gonna find that hooking up. You're not gonna find that participating in hookup culture. Why? Because hookup culture does not promote that. Hookup culture promotes sex. And it's funny because a lot of people that, you know, really participate in hookup culture, they come out so jaded. Even when they're trying to promote that, like, this is a lifestyle that they want to live, you know, that they're so free. They become out so jaded about the opposite sex, because it goes back to deep down. I believe that everyone deep down, no matter what they're trying to tell you, wants a love like Carl and Ellie's, wants that partnership, wants that person that they can call their own, wants someone to turn to, because life is fucking hard. And you know what? It's better having someone to turn to. Being single is better than being in a shitty relationship, 1000%. But nothing compares to being in an amazing relationship. There's nothing like that. Nothing compares to finding a love like Carl and Ellie's. Yeah, and that's all I got to say about that. Okay, reason number 5 as to why hookup culture is toxic is because you are only messing with yourself mentally. Going back to the, you know, Carl and Ellie, you know, example. Carl didn't find his Ellie by running through so many women so many times that he devalued sex to the point that he could no longer form a genuine, deeper bond with a woman. You know, it's widely, and here's what I mean by like going off of that and how you're fucking with yourself. Widely known in studies that women's brains release oxytocin during events such as sex, childbirth, and breastfeeding or lactation. You know, oxytocin is released into the woman's bloodstream, released into her brain so that she forms a bond. They call oxytocin the love hormone. It's what helps humans chemically form bonds to one another. It's what keeps that mother wanting to nurse her baby. It's what keeps that mother connected to her baby. It's how women connect with men. You know, when you have sex, women, this is shown. I'm not making this shit up. Women's brains release oxytocin during sex. If you're having sex with someone, your brain is releasing oxytocin and your brain is telling you to bond with that person, to connect to that person on a deeper level. Oxytocin in men isn't as widely understood, but recent studies have shown that men also release oxytocin to some degree during sex. Usually what they have found is it's usually in an increase of, let me read this, oxytocin plasma cell counts after ejaculation. So usually, you know, this isn't quite like bona fide set in stone. They're still researching this, but what, you know, they have found so far is that generally after a man ejaculates, there is evidence of oxytocin being released to some degree. Doctors and scientists have been writing in a few studies that there is something hormonal taking place in the brains of men that helps men bond and form deep connections with their partners. For example, in a study that I'll have linked below, researchers found that men's brains release reward signals when men were presented with a picture of their partner versus being presented with pictures of other women. So in this study that I'm referencing, you know, they had men who were in relationships and they would, you know, let the men see, you know, their partner's face, let the men talk about their partner, and then they would take scans of their brains when they were doing that, seeing their partner's face, talking about their partner, thinking about their partner. And then they took scans of those same men who were in relationships of when they were presented with pictures of random women. And what they found, what they noticed was that a man's brain would light up in more regions when they were talking about their partner or when they were looking at their partner's face or at a picture of their partner versus just looking at random women. So by the logic of this study, you know, again, there's still a lot of research going on with this, but by this logic, you know, women are not the only ones out here catching feelings, you know, when they're having sex with men. The men are catching the feelings too. Okay, the men, you know, when you're forming these bonds with people, you know, the men's brains are lighting up differently when they're talking and looking at their partner than other women. That means that there's something going on there that is causing men to bond with their partner, that is causing men to want to commit to one partner. And what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Catching feelings. Are you catching feelings or are you promoting them? Are you catching feelings, or are you participating in activities that biologically bond you to someone else and then ruining that mental bond by not staying with that person? Are you catching feelings, or are you participating in activities that release oxytocin? Oxytocin is the love hormone that tells your body, that tells your mind to bond with that person, to connect with that person. Are you catching feelings, or are you just biologically fucking with yourself because you're choosing to participate in activities that promote bonding amongst humans and then severing that bond by not staying with that person, by not being active in that person's life anymore? Generally speaking, this is just something that I personally have been, kind of analyzing and observing and just kind of like watching. Those who have multiple sexual partners, and I'm talking a lot, people. We're talking people who have body counts in, double digits, triple digits. There are people out there. I've noticed that those kinds of people who are so entrenched in hookup culture, so entrenched in just having sex all willy-nilly with whoever, have multiple partners. I've noticed that those people, that the longer that someone remains in this hookup lifestyle and the more sexual partners they have, the harder it then becomes for that person to develop a strong relationship with one partner. And what I mean by this is that it's incredibly foolish for humans to think that we can outsmart our own biology, that we can out-trick, out-juke biology. Like, that's so foolish to think that. It's so foolish to think that you can just continue to have a lot of sex with people and that your brain can continue to release this oxytocin and that you won't catch feelings. You're promoting those feelings biologically, hormonally. The men too. It's not as understood yet in men, but the men are not immune to this too. What happens when you continuously start to form that bond and continuously sever it every time? What happens? You across multiple partners doing that, forming those bonds, breaking it, forming it, breaking it, forming it, breaking it, forming it, breaking it. You start to fuck with yourself mentally. You start to confuse yourself. You start to feel like you can't connect with anyone. Like, this was why Drake is out here singing about, maybe there's no one like me, trying to find his love. We know that Drake is a Lothario. He's very active in this hookup culture lifestyle, or at least he, talks about it and acts like he is, yet he's having a hard time finding someone and is talking about in some songs, worrying about how maybe there's no one out there for him. You start to confuse yourself. You start to feel alone in this world. You start to feel, you mess with your brain so many times by breaking those bonds that your brain is trying to establish with that partner. They're trying to establish that bond via oxytocin, via however it works in the male's brain. They don't quite know yet, but you keep doing that so many times, breaking those bonds, and eventually you may not even start to respond to oxytocin in the same way that you biologically should be. You may have tricked your brain so many times and continue to keep tricking your brain that eventually you start to lose your ability to recognize oxytocin as the bonding hormone that it is. People who get really entrenched in this lifestyle, they feel like they can't connect. It's not that you're not connecting with someone, it's that you're connecting and breaking that connection so many times that you don't even realize and form a bond in the way that you're supposed to, because you keep fucking with yourself. You keep breaking those bonds. Maybe I'm repeating myself, and hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense in that hookup culture is toxic because you're just biologically fucking with yourself. When you have sex with someone, it is a bonding experience, no matter what people will try and tell you. It's a bonding, very intimate, very vulnerable experience to share with someone. Point number 6. Now, this is my last and final point for this essay, and throughout this essay I've been keeping it pretty, gender neutral. This one right here, number 6, this is for the ladies. Why? Because I'm a lady, okay? I can't speak from a man's point of view because I'm not a man, okay? Although all my other arguments, all my other points in this essay apply to men and women equally. I I believe hookup culture is just as toxic for men as it is for women, but this point right here is just for the ladies. Okay. Men, you can stick around too. Y'all don't have to leave. Y'all can watch to the end of the video, okay? If there's any guys here, y'all can stay. Y'all can stay. But this is for my girls, okay? Number 6, ladies. Hooking up with tons of men or tons of different men does not equal better sex like they say it does. Hookup culture benefits no one, but it benefits women even less than it benefits men. Here's why. Ladies, let's keep it fucking real. Let's keep it 100. It takes a lot to get a woman to orgasm. Like, a lot. It takes a lot. Men, it does not take that much to orgasm. Men can orgasm off of penetration alone, and it's been shown and proven that women, that's not the same for women. Women generally do not orgasm or climax off of penetration alone. I bring this up to say that I have I've never met a woman or seen a woman online talk about this before. I have never met, seen, heard a woman ever say that the first time she had sex with a man that he made her orgasm that very first time. I never met a woman like that has, you know, you go to have sex with someone for the first time and they make you orgasm. Why? Because to get a woman to orgasm is hard and it's complex and it's different for every woman, and it takes there's so much more goes into a woman reaching her climax than it does a man. So that, ladies, we all know it. We all know it. We ain't busting nuts the first time we having sex with someone. Do y'all remember, now I'm gonna be referencing Friends. Do y'all remember in Friends when Chandler is asking Monica and Rachel, there we go. Where Chandler is asking Monica and Rachel like how to please his woman more. You know, he just had sex with someone and, you know, he finished but she didn't. She's like, yeah, it was good. But like she didn't, like he didn't make her climax, and he's asking Monica and Rachel how to make a woman climax or how to make her enjoy herself more. And y'all remember when Monica was like explaining the different erogenous zones to Chandler, and she's like, you know, there's 7 erogenous zones, and he's like, 7? And it's like, yeah, you know, there's a lot more sensations, touch sensations that go into a woman orgasming than just penetration alone. You know, Friends was really hinting at something that is a trend in society. Like they were making social commentary on the fact that there is a big orgasm gap. And I bring this up to say that, ladies, a man you just met is not gonna know how to please you better than a man who has taken that time to learn your body, you know, who loves you, who cares for you, who is taking that time to learn, you know, what makes you tick, what are your, you know, 7 erogenous zones that like Monica was telling Chandler. Like, man, like hooking up with a random man, you're not gonna orgasm. I'ma just like, you're not even gonna nut. They'll probably nut, but you won't. Because he doesn't know you. He doesn't know what makes you tick. He doesn't know what turns you on to get you there, because it's incredibly different and complex for every woman of what it takes to get a woman to climax. And for shits and giggles, let's just say, what if you do have sex with a man you just met and you have sex with him the first time, and let's say he does make you finish that very first time you have sex with him. Okay, sure, he made you orgasm that first time. I've never met a woman who said that, but okay, let's say he does make you orgasm that very first time. That just means he's had a lot of experience pleasing and making other women climax, because no man on the face of this earth who only has moderate experience having sex knows how to just make a woman he just met orgasm. Ain't no man out there, and if there is a man out there that only has had sex a moderate number of times and does know how to please a woman like that on the very first time, like, then he's the Hercules of the male species, because the most men Most men do not know that, okay? Most men do not know how to accomplish that feat, okay? And if they do, if you do hook up with someone and they do make you orgasm that very first time that you hook up, it just means he has a lot of experience pleasing other women to the point that he's got it down to a science. And in tangent to that, that also means that to him, you are just another notch under his belt. That you're just, you know, number 16, body count number 17, number 18, that you're just another woman that he's conquered, another pussy that he slayed. So yeah, sure. While you're having sex with him, with this experienced juggernaut that knows how to make you climax on the first time, while you're having sex and he makes you climax and your brain is trying to form a bond with him, all you did was play yourself, girl. All you did was play yourself. Because ladies, while your brain is releasing that oxytocin and while you're enjoying the ride that he's taking you on or whatever, when we're talking about a specific kind of male here that knows how to please a woman right off the bat, which is not very many, but let's just say they do exist. Let's say they exist. And if they exist, they have a lot of experience. You're bonding with him and enjoying the way he's making your body feel on this hookup, but you're still just another woman to him at the end of the day. And ladies, I live in girl world, okay? I live in the real world. I've observed real girl world and navigated it. Women generally, young girls generally, tend to be territorial. The women don't like to feel like, you know, like they're just anybody else. Women don't want to have, like, generally don't want a man that's for everybody. Like, women tend to be territorial. They tend to want to date in monogamous dating patterns. You know, they want to generally be in committed relationships. Even on the rare occasion that the hookup is good, that it's good sex, you're just still playing with yourself. Because here's the truth of the matter. That's a one-off scenario. 99% of the time, when women are participating in hookup culture, the majority of time, you're not even getting a nut out of it. You're having sex with some random man, you know, fucking with yourself, opening yourself up to all the other cons I listed earlier, and you ain't even getting a nut out of it. He is. It's so much easier for the man to finish, but not you. So it's like, what do women gain out of hookup culture? What do we gain? You're fucking with yourself mentally, you're releasing oxytocin when you're having sex with these men, your body is telling you, bond with this person, form a connection with this person, and you sever it. That fucks with you. You know, you're coming across the same kinds of people who don't want to commit to you, who don't want to stick around, who don't want to, and until you open up yourself to all the negatives, all these negatives I talked about. And on top of that, you didn't even get to finish. And what was it worth, ladies? What's it worth? 5 minutes of what? 5 minutes of mediocre sex with some guy you just met? There's no way y'all can tell me that that's better than being in a relationship with a man who loves you and knows how to please you because he took the time to understand you. Not because he took the time to, you know, fuck a lot of women, but because he took the time to get to know you, to cherish you. How is that not better than hooking up with some rando and 5 minutes and, you know, you could have caught an STD and you didn't even get a nut? Like, ladies, what do we gain? What do we gain? I don't think anyone gains out of hookup culture, but women gain less than men do. If you continue to participate in hookup culture, you know, the same beast is gonna bite you in the ass. You know, you're still gonna end up alone, because if you're having to hook up with someone, if you're having to hook up with a man, that means he ain't your man to keep at the end of the night. Because if he was your man to keep, you wouldn't call it a hookup, you would call it making love to your partner. And ladies, all that time you spend messing around, you could have been using to find Mr. Right. And when you're young, again, this goes back to earlier, when you're young, you know, you might not care. You know, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, and ladies, you know, we think that, you know, we're hot shit when we're at like our peak physical health, you know, you might not care. You might still want to hook up with whoever. There are some women out there that do want to just have sex with whoever, have more sex with as many partners as possible, but same thing. As you get older and as you start to grow out of hookup culture, you're gonna look up and realize that all the good men are taken. Why? Because the Carl Fredricksons of the world, the good men in this world, or the good partners, whoever, the good partners of this world are off marrying their wives in their 20s and 30s. Why? Because they're good men. And the good men want to find like a good partner, a good woman, a good whoever. And they're marrying the other good people in their 20s and 30s because they're serious from the jump about not wasting time in hookup culture. Well, hookup culture ruins the lives of men and women who choose to participate in it. I personally see even less benefit for women to choose to participate in this lifestyle, for the simple fact that, you know, you open yourself up to every single negative that I've talked about over the course of this essay. You open yourself up to all that, and you didn't even get a nut out of it. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point for women to participate in hookup culture? Like, we don't get shit out of it. We get even less than the men do. That was it. That was my essay. Those were my 6 points, my 6 reasons as to why I believe hookup culture is toxic and ruining people's lives. Yeah, I would love to hear, you know, what you guys think. Do you guys, have y'all, you know, noticed some of the same issues, some of the same flaws in the hookup culture ideology that I listed out here? That's it for me today. Thank you again so much for clicking on this video, for letting me ramble, letting me vent to y'all, letting me share my ideas with y'all. What, Maple? Come here. Anyways, my cat's calling me. It's time for me to go. Thank you again for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.